back here with you, High Noon Leatherworks, for another leather adventure. And today, part 2 of take 2 of the moccasin build. This is where we ended up at the end of part 1 of take 2. So we've got all of our pieces, our parts, our insoles are glued on. I've cut 3 sets of lace. This is a little darker gray, give it a little contrast. This is 3 sets, 30 inches long. So that's what the pattern called for, was 3 laces per moccasin. So we've got everything ready to start lacing, so come on in and let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start with the right moccasin. We'll do the left second. If you go back, take a look at the last video, I marked on the actual moccasin which hole to start in, and I took that off the pattern, and that'll coincide with the first hole in the actual piece that goes on top, which is the plug. Couldn't think of it there for a second. I'll pull my first piece of lace, put a knot in it, at the end, and then I'll go ahead and put it through the first hole, the one that has the line on it, and up through the inside of the first hole on the plug. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap that around so I can lock that in, and I might need to put a little more of a chisel point on this since it's soft suede, and I need to go through both holes again. And you might need to actually take a pointed edge, like an awl or something of that nature, to get that through there. Now, some of the kits I noticed, they come with more of a shoestring type lace, so it has a hard end on it, so it makes it really easy for lacing. These aren't too bad as long as you're not going through 2 holes, or the same hole with 2 laces. So I'll pull that back up through, and then what I'll do is pull that through my loop, and that's going to lock that in. And I like to try to keep it, if I can, try to keep my lace straight, and that's not always easy to do, to keep it from twisting. But once I lock that in, I can go ahead and loop over, go to my next hole, and again I did go over the top there, and I could pull that one through, and I'll just keep repeating that, loop over. And the holes on the moccasin piece are a little further apart than they are on the plug, and that's on purpose so that it draws that up as you go down the moccasin. It'll draw all that toward the toe. So I'll continue to lace this, snugging it as I go. I'm not pulling it real tight, I'm just keeping it nice and snug, keeping my, if I could show you, trying to keep my laces even as I pull them through. And I do want to try to keep them snugged up evenly also, and you can go back through and snug those up as you go. So here's a better view of it, snugged up, and I can keep them even as I go. So I want to not get in a hurry, keep a close eye on that as I move around the toe of this. So I'll speed this up and we'll go ahead and come all the way around. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this around to here, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to terminate that. So I'll be right back when I get to that point. Alright, so I've got to the other end of getting the plug in. So what I'm going to do is I've got my knot on the outside here, so I'm going to come around and I'm going to pull this through just like I locked in the other side over here. I'm going to pull that through, snug that down, make sure my lace is down good and tight. Then I'm going to take that point and I'm going to put it right back through that hole from the outside, and then right back through the plug hole, the last plug hole. So that's been threaded twice. Make sure all that's snug, then I can go ahead and put my knot in. Now I want that knot down tight to that hole, so I'm going to roll that down, then cut off my excess lace. So there's the toe. Got my plug. Those are nice soft pigskin, a little darker suede lace, looks nice. And then I'll go to the second stage here, and I'll take two more pieces of lace and we'll start on the heel back here. Alright, to start on this heel next, FYI, I forgot to cut my slits in my heel piece here. So I went back and double checked on my pattern, and sure enough, the lines were there, but I didn't slice it and carry it on to my leather. So you need to make sure that you do that, because I messed up on that part. So what we want to do is we're going to fold this over, And let's go ahead and take a piece of lace, put a knot in it, and that will be in the back. And I will put another chisel point on this one. This makes it easier to thread. So our heel flap's going to go on the outside. So let's go ahead and put this through the bottom. Thread it through the bottom right hole of the moccasin. Let's go ahead and pull it all the way up. And then we'll thread it through the other side, and we'll make an X. So I'm going to turn this around. I need to make sure I go through the other side of the moccasin on that hole, so everything matches here. So I'm going through 3 thicknesses here: the heel part and then the 2 moccasin pieces in the same holes. I'm going to pull that snug. Then I'm going to come up I'm going to go through the second hole and I'm doing an X pattern here and coming out the other side. And then I need to make sure I get my 3rd piece in there, my heel flap. So there's my X piece there. Then what I need to do is take my 2nd piece of lace, tie my knot in it, and I'll double check my chisel point on that one, and I'll start at the bottom on the other side. And once you get these started, you can snug them up, because obviously you got to be able to see what you're doing. So I'll pull my lace through there. And looks like I threaded through the 2nd and the 3rd thickness. And let's go ahead and pull that all the way through. And I could pull that first one up and snug it back up. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to crisscross, go X pattern inside, and come out the back just like I did on the other side, all 3 pieces. And I'll show you what that looks like. In the back, there's my 2 pieces there. On the inside, there's my X where I crossed them. And it does go through all 3 pieces. Now, what that does is that's going to keep that pulled tight. Now we could double that and come back down and go through again, and what that'll do is really tighten that up, and I think I have plenty of lace to do that, so I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm just going to lift up on my knot there, pull that out a little bit, and that'll give me some room to get my lace in there. And again, I may have to use a stylus or an awl to get that lined up, because I am going through 3 pieces. So I've got me a little pointy stylus. You could use a pick, an awl, whatever would work for you, but just something to get that to pull through, see? And I got it started. I'll pull that, make sure this is straight. I like to keep it as flat and straight as possible. And that's going to create an X on the outside. Now what I want to do is make sure I pull my knot back in there good and tight. So there's my first loop back through. Then I can take the second one and do the same thing. So I can pull out on that a little bit, stick my stylus in there, make sure I'm nice and straight. Got them lined up. And this putting it back through for the second time is a little tedious, but it's worth it because I think it makes it a lot stronger. So it seems also to help a lot if you pull that knot out fairly far to get it out of the way, and then you have to just re-tighten it back up. That seems to allow my lace then to go through the hole, and then all I have to do is go to the inside and tighten that lace up that has the knot in it. And then once I pull on that, I can straighten that up, and that gets my X nice and tight in the back on the heel. Now what I want to do is I want to come back and I want to crisscross again, and it's kind of redundant, but what that'll do is put my lace back on the outside. And you can do this several different ways. I'm not doing it exactly the way the pattern says to do it. Of course not, right? But I think this will make it a lot stronger, and I've got plenty of lace to do this. So I'm gonna double that X up on the inside, Then I'll take my lace up to start my cuff. What that'll do is that'll give me another X and tie all that together. And the chisel point on that lace makes all the difference in the world, unless you're using tape or something on the end to make it a hard point. Alright, so there's my lace and my double X. Now what I'm going to do is, when I start my cuff, is I'm gonna crisscross those again and start my cuff, which will make it, I believe, will make it even stronger. So there's my heel piece. And now I'm ready to add my cuff. Now on my cuff, I'm just gonna fold it in half. I'm gonna see which hole is the center hole, or is in the middle. So I'm gonna mark that on the inside. Nobody will see it but me, because this folds over. So I'm gonna put this out here where I can see it. I'm gonna start in this middle hole here and line those holes up. And this cuff folds over, and this is going to be a little cumbersome, I can tell you that right now, just by looking at it. And I'm going to start with the one on the right. Tell you, I'm going to pull that through, because this has got to go through 4 thicknesses of this leather. It's got to go through 2 thicknesses of the cuff and 2 thicknesses of the moccasin. So, and it's critical on this first one that I get everything lined up perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull those apart, make sure I'm getting them perfect in alignment. Then once I get those put together and I'm through all 4 pieces, then I'll go ahead and I'll pull my lace through. What that's going to do is that's going to pull this up and tie that heel into this cuff in the back. So I can go over, crisscross the first hole, and this is there's 2 holes that are 4 thicknesses of leather. After that, then you're just 3. You're the cuff and the 1 thickness of the moccasin. So we'll fold that over, put it up through the inside, and then I can pull that one snug. And I want to straighten that up too. I want that to look good. There we go. So that's what the back looks like. I've got that crisscross. Now that ties all that in to the heel. Now what I can do is I can go ahead and start threading this, and I'm going to go inside, out, because my lace is on the inside right now. And again, this at the beginning is a bit cumbersome until you get it started and kind of get it locked down on there. So we'll fold that over, and then as I pull that, get this out of the way here, kind of got it jacked up. Alright, so as I pull that, what that's going to do is lock in the back of that. You see that pull? See that pulling that? That's going to lock that in and pull this direction on that heel. Now all I have to do is continue from the outside back to the inside. So it's a totally different stitch than what I was doing, not doing a loop stitch like I did on the front. And I think once we get this started and we can get these holes lined up, that's the key. There we go. And once we can get those holes lined up, and I'm just using a stylus again, I can pinch that and get my lace to go through those holes. So it's just a matter of getting it started. Once you're started, I think you're in good shape. And the first couple of ones is going to be the hardest ones. So you may have to pull it back a little bit like that, because these holes, they don't want to line up great at the beginning, because you've got a lot of tension on that heel. It might help if I had a little pair of needle nose to grab that tip there. So I'll pull that one through, snug it down. Now you can see what that cuff is going to look like, what type of stitch it has in it. So now I'll go back through the inside. Through the hole in the moccasin, and back through the outside. And then I'll pull that stitch tight. So each time I pull a stitch through there and I snug that down, that's pulling this heel even tighter. So that ties all that together. So I'll continue down till I get to the end of the cuff, down by the plug, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, so I'm down to this end, down by the plug. The last hole, what I want to do is line that up, Put my lace through that last hole. Pull it snug like I did all the way down. Then I'm going to take my lace, put it through the first hole of the plug on top. What that does is tie the plug into the cuff and the rest of the moccasin. Then I'll take the next hole in the plug and run my lace up through that. That's where they'll tie. So that's how you'll see, if I tug on that, you can see how that pulls that tight. So that's how they'll tie, and you'll be able to keep them on your feet, keep them snug. So it's tied all the way around back to the heel. So I'll go ahead and do the other side of the cuff, and then I'll bring you back and show you exactly what the finished moccasin looks like. Alright, so I'm back down to the end on the other side, up to the plug, and I'll put my stylus in. This has been working great, where I just line up the holes, hold it, then my lace goes right through. I'm going to go over just like I did on the other side, through the first hole in my plug, the outside hole, pull that through, and then go up through the second hole. And then there's how the laces look at the end. Now, as I pull on those, that's going to pull everything together from the back to the front, and it also pulls the plug up. So I'm going to go ahead and tie me a bow in this lace, and I can always trim these off more, obviously. And then there's my finished moccasin. Looks, hang on one second. Looks so much better than this one piece deal that I tried that bombed. So this is so much nicer looking, and in the inside, R11. This is the right one, size 11. So you can loosen this up if you want, and then you can tighten it once you put it on. I'm going to try this on and see how it feels. So they are very soft, very comfortable. They fit my heel well. They don't want to fall off my heel, and look how nice they fit around the side of my foot. Nice and snug. They don't want to fall off. They don't pucker up. The insoles feel great. That was those Dr. Scholl's memory foam insoles that I put in there. They feel nice and soft. Now, if I was going to wear these outside, I'd want to put a solid piece of thick leather on the bottom, on the outside of them. But these are for indoor, like a pair of slippers. So, I'm not going to wear these outside, but they turned out great. Alright, so I'll go ahead and finish this project up and do the left moccasin, and I can put this project in the books, and I'll put these patterns away. And again, it came with several different size patterns. So if somebody decides they want a pair of these, I can go ahead and make them. So they turned out nice. Much better than that one-piece trial that I did. So appreciate you coming along, checking it out. I've learned a lot doing this project. I don't have to always reinvent the wheel. Somebody a lot smarter than I am came up with these patterns and how to do that. I'm good with that. Now if it's custom stuff, I love doing that too, but in this case it was way beyond my level, so I went with the store-bought patterns, bought my own pigskin and my own lace. As you can see, I've got enough pigskin. I think I paid $14 for this piece, so I've got enough to do another large set of moccasins right here. So if you think about that, the cost of moccasins, if you went out and bought them, nice leather moccasins like these with memory foam insoles, you're going to pay a lot for them. So if you wanted to make these as gifts or make them to sell or whatever, to custom fit somebody, that'd be the way to go. So I appreciate you coming along, watching. Like I always say, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out KentuckyLeatherandHides.com. And I'll see you next time.